Good evening, RPG Limit Break. It is time for the inaugural Final Fantasy Randomizer Irongol Heavy Metal Championship Series Double Dragon Tag Team Championship Rumble. I am Dr. Funkin, and I will be joined tonight in the booth by my illustrious co-commentator, Jat2980. Jat, how you doing tonight?
Really, really good. I'm super pumped up for this race. Co-op is one of the funnest ways to play Final Fantasy Randomizer, and we are in for some spicy business.
We certainly are. Could you explain anything about these flags? This looks like an absolute mess.
Well, it's a little bit of a mess on the surface, but underneath it's not so bad. Obviously unique to this flag set, we are doing entrance floor shuffle, which means that everything, Canaria Castle, not going to be Canaria Castle, most likely. You could get down into the volcano, and it might be a volcano floor, but then right underneath it could be sea. Not only that, we are also in Shard Hunt, which means that instead of needing to light 4 orbs to go into the past, instead we're going to need to collect 32 shards, and those are just found in random chests throughout the game. So those are 2 major changes you're going to notice right away. Outside of that, there's a bunch of other insanity going on, including where incentive locations are, northern docks, all sorts of fun stuff, but those are the ones that you want to be aware of right away.
Excellent. So, yeah, I'm super pumped for this. It's always great to have another style of Irongol match go on. I'm always happy to have more championships going around. It's just more competition, and I love to see it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, our team should be getting started pretty soon, but you'll notice right off the bat as well that we do have random weapons and armor in the shop, which could make a little bit of a difference. And also, I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler, but the fiends are shuffled, which means that for example, Earth Orb might be guarded by Kraken. Meanwhile, Tiamat's floor could have just Lich on it, and that can make a big difference in terms of strategy. Something that you should be aware of for Shard Hunt is that killing the fiends, well, not killing the fiends, but specifically lighting the orbs, quote-unquote, is still valuable. The first 2 fiend orbs are worth 2 shards each, and the last 2 are worth 4. So you're gonna see these runners still try and take out these bosses, even though they're in Shard Hunt, not in the traditional, orb lighting seed.
Absolutely, though it is worth noting that it is contingent on what orb you're lighting, how many shards it's worth, with Earth and Fire being worth 2, and then Sky and Sea being worth 4, so you may end up getting lucky, and the 4 orb bosses would be easier ones because of the shuffled bosses. Yep.
And the gate has been dropped, which means we should be seeing action on the screen in just a little bit. Classic Gamer asking in chat, what is Warmech? Obviously not what is Warmech, but what is the style of Warmech? And Warmech is required. So which means that on the Bridge of Destiny, there will be a green robot friend waiting for us, and our runners will have to take it out in order to light that air orb.
And it looks like we have Titan's Tunnel East at Corneria Castle, and we have got some insane level 1 white magic with Cure 4, Fade, and Life available. And then the black magic's got Nuke? Holy cow.
Well, also huge is that Life and Fade are both Red Mage learnable. They're in slot 1 and 3, while Cure 4 is locked out to that White Mage, but oh boy, there's going to be tons of value to be gained from this. And a party comp like Danny's, with 2 Red Mages and a Black Mage, is going to really benefit from having Life available to them so early.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. Good lord, that is some powerful early game. Got sweepers on both your white and your black side. You just love to see that if you're a runner.
So while our runners kind of investigate, why don't we go into a little bit about what is co-op, what's shared, what's not. So critically, what is shared are the key items. So if one runner gets the, let's say, canoe, within a few seconds, the other runner, their partner, is going to have a little thing on their screen show up saying, hey, you got the canoe. And then those are shared. Even if you die, you're still going to keep it, which means that you can get a key item and then reset out and still be totally fine. So that's a big change. What's not shared, interestingly enough, in co-op, though, are the shards, which means both runners are going to need to collect 32 shards or more, and both runners need to kill Chaos in order to win. So those are a couple bits of strategy. These runners are having to tell their partners, hey, there's some shards here. You might want to go back for that. They're going to have to tell their partners, hey, there's this weapon here. But they don't have to necessarily tell their partners there's a canoe. They can just get it for both of them. So those are some key notes about co-op.
Absolutely, though they probably will say, hey, there was a canoe over here, just so that they don't go, doubling back over area they don't have to.
Yeah, for sure. Something else that you'll see from our runners is that there's going to be some route diversions, which means that they're going to check purposely different entrances to get as much information as they possibly can off the bat, rather than necessarily just going on the same path. It just benefits you when you're trying to like share those key items. Now, both runners going to, provoke or something is totally reasonable, as getting that early magic is important, but you're going to see the two runners do various things. I guess something of note, we haven't really introduced our runners. Do you want to quickly do that, Dr. Funkin?
Absolutely. On one side, on the left side, we've got our Crescent Lake party planners of Spellzap and Danny3883. And on the right, we have got Team Caleb of Caleb and Ale Market.
One of my favorite parts about co-op is the crazy logos, and these are no exception. Their banners are pretty great.
That they are.
So far, not too much going on. Ale finding a really nice early encounter with that nuke, those sorcerers, of course, with Death Touch in the vanilla game can be terrifying, but Randomizer, not Death Touch for sure anymore, so definitely a fight that's worth taking to get a little bit of early EXP.
Definitely.
And already Danny finding one of the interesting things about Entrance Floor Shuffle, which is the C-split. She only dipped in quickly, but we call it a C-split because there's two different floors that are traditionally, well, technically above and below it in the vanilla game. But that is going to lead to two different kind of bottom locations, which means it's quite important to find that, is it's essentially two entrances in one. So Danny's going to take a note of that and then decide to dive that at a later part, as both she and her partner Spellzap are in Elfland, telling us what type of magic we got there.
Excellent. And Caleb trying to get some early XP by nuking down some lobsters, but does not work out too well for him.
Oh, and we are going to have a fiend fight, and it is vanilla carry on Ale Markin's screen in the bottom right here. This is definitely winnable. Now, their HP is clamped quite high. Let me get the exact numbers for you. It's 100 to 250% HP, so this carry at minimum has 600 HP and can go all the ways up to 1500. So this is not an easy fight, but definitely doable with nukes.
Very true, yeah. Those early game nukes will definitely, but well, maybe. It's not looking particularly good at this point.
Now, at the end of the day, yeah, if you don't kill it here, it's not the end of the world. You'll just take a note and come back later. But there was an incentive item there as well. I didn't catch what it was. Maybe one of our trackers will have caught that. And thanks, shoutouts to our trackers tonight. Oh, it's the Spellzap showing us. Shoutouts to our trackers tonight. Those spells, Rubes and Reese, who are helping us out tonight, keeping us on our toes with this crazy entrance floor shuffle madness, all our key items, clicking all the buttons. So yeah, shoutouts to them as well as our restreamer Dark Moon tonight. And Spellzap also taking on carry. Will he have more or less success? Sleep, not the worst spell in the world. It basically lasts for a single turn, so getting some more fades and nukes out. This could be big. Couple more notes on party comp here. Black belts are banned in this flag set, which is why you're not seeing any basically black belts here, and Spellzap choosing to go with a thief instead of choosing to go with a fighter like everyone else. So definitely some differences. Spellzap with that thief, Danny with the double red mage.
Yeah, the nice thing about the thief is that it's got high run chance, which can make it easier, especially with floor entrance shuffle, to get away from some of those dangerous fights. And a ninja can be a very effective endgame damage dealer, so you're not losing a whole lot in the late game by not having a fighter.
Yeah,
and
the biggest weakness is its lower HP growth, which can make it a little bit sketchy for surviving things like nukes in the late game. Also, the inability in this case to cast life is going to be quite important compared to the other runners.
Very true, though you will get a few extra nuke casts.
That is definitely true. Classic Gamer pointing out in chat that we found a loose Oxyale.
Sure did, up at Nicoya's Cave, on Danny's side.
So you'll see that Spellzap picks that up right away, and that's really nice. Now, with these key items being shared, that is definitely a big thing, but we do have experience per shards, not experience per key item. So while they're getting additional mobility by sharing it, they aren't getting extra experience. So picking up those shards is still going to be important, as well as, of course, to win the game.
Not to mention the fact that those you're definitely going to want to be communicating about where those shards are, so that one party member or one tag team partner or the other doesn't fall behind on the XP growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll generally see them keeping spreadsheets. So the way that this is designed is that you cannot share screens. However, what you can do is you can have a shared spreadsheet, shared notes, and they are in voice call together at the same time. So they're discussing things as well as like keeping a shared set of notes. So there's a lot of communication going on behind the scenes, and the best teams are not always the ones who are individually fastest. It's a lot who can work together the best.
And Spellzap has run into the unfortunate, has found the unfortunate thing that Cobras are on a spike tile in the armory, and they've got stone poison.
Yeah, not nice, especially in the early game with no ribbons, with very low MDef. That's going to wipe your party in a lot of situations. Classic Gamer pointing out in chat, such a generous prince, 100 gold pieces. And yeah, that is pointing out one of the key parts of this flag set, which is that key NPCs and key locations are not incentivized, which means they're as likely to be 100 gold pieces as they are to be one of our loose items. So that is something that's quite different than most seeds that you play. They're going to be finding a lot of their key items loose. There's 8 loose items in this flag set.
That's quite a few. Spellzap in the trap chest in the Volcano Armory gets a Lock 2 gauntlet.
Highlighting another crazy flag. Once again, this is Irongol, which is not our traditional tournament format. This is, a little bit more crazy, doing all sorts of crazy things out there, making sure usually the flag sets are a bit harder. They're allowed to experiment a lot more, and this time we're playing with shuffled item magic as well. It is balanced, which means that you're not going to be getting a Newt Gauntlet, but, we're not guaranteed to have your traditional Power Gauntlet, which casts Saber, or White Shirt, which casts Invis 2. We're getting all sorts of different random stuff. Now, I did want to quickly shout out, as we are on RPG Limit Break tonight, thanks again for hosting us, that what a loose item versus an incentive item is. So there are certain chests and NPCs in this game traditionally which are what we call incentivized, which means that they're guaranteed to have something of value. And in this flag set, for example, that chest to the west or to the north of Carrie, but on that bottom floor of the volcano, that was an example of an incentive location where we got the herb. However, in this flag set, unlike most, main NPCs and fetch quest NPCs are not incentivized, which means they're not going to give you anything special. On the other hand, we have 8 loose items, and what that means is that 8 random chests or NPCs throughout the game are going to have items that may be required to win. So these runners are going to be opening tons of boxes just to make sure that they don't skip out anything important.
And that's a flag we don't traditionally see in most of the one-on-one competition here with Final Fantasy Randomizer, because in general it leads to in a game that's already got a lot of randomness, it leads to an excess of randomness to the point where it can feel over-punishing if you don't make the right call at the right time. However, in a flag set like this, where we're hunting down all of these shards and boxes and whatnot, it makes a lot of sense, especially when you're also communicating back and forth with another player. You can cover twice as much ground.
Yeah, like these flag sets could be fairly slow as individuals, but with a team, you're going to see these runners fly through it, as they're essentially getting twice as much twice as much information as they would normally. As Danny has pulled up a loose rod on what we call the Sharknado floor, in the left chest there.
She sure did, and then you saw her just kind of standing around a little bit to make sure she didn't get drawn into a fight that might wipe her party, and the rod could transfer over to Spellzap.
Yeah, so as you said, there's usually between a 5 and 10 second delay, basically how quickly the server checks it, to see if you got in an item. So by waiting just a little bit, she made sure that Spellzap got that item, and no matter what happened, their team kind of had saved it. So, nice pickup there. Spellzap has found the T-Rex. This is a really nice boatload of EXP if you can kill it, but that's a taller task than it might sound like.
Yeah, the T-Rex can have an awful lot of health, and if it's sitting here casting Lit 2 and Cremate, it's going to wipe the party before you can do anything.
Oh, and would you look at that? This is a T-Rex outside of Crescent Lake, which also means that we have shuffle across zones on, which means that this overworld, it's all jumbled up. You're going to be getting T-Rexes in Crescent Lake, you're going to be getting imps by the desert, all sorts of randomness. So, you know, if you're a fan of like everything should be randomized, this is the flag set for you.
And Danny finding some +4 dragon armor in the Sharknado floor.
Ooh, really nice stuff. Not so good for her partner, but really, really good for her. Unfortunately, the thing with the dragon armor is it's not equipable until after they promote, so they're going to have to find the tail and find Bahamut. But that is going to be best in slot armor for her knight in the late game and anyone else who finds it.
And in the incentive floor on the Marsh Cave, Caleb's favorite place to go, he finds the floater.
Wow. So Caleb, well known for his love of the Marsh Cave, and it is paying off immediately here. We do not have the flag that allows you to access the floater without the canoe on, so they will need to find the canoe first, but that is a big advantage for Team Caleb.
Absolutely, and Team Caleb is going to go ahead and moonwalk on out of this Marsh Cave with their floater, which is also, you know, transferred over to Ailmarkin at this point.
Spellzap, meanwhile, going onto the Northern Continent, and Danny on that exact same floor, so going to be rewarded with that floater very soon as well.
Yep, absolutely. So it's not really an advantage anyone at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Both these teams are so good. You're not going to see, like, you know, 30-minute advantages for the most part. Both these runners, all these runners making quick work of the seed. And it's really going to come down to, you know, how fast they can get their shards, any unfortunate wipes that might occur. That's basically it.
Absolutely. Spellzap, a champion across multiple tournaments. He and Danny have been champions in the first ever co-op tournament. These are no slouches when it comes to these kind of racing.
Yeah. The Crescent Lake Party Planners, first and then second in co-op tournaments so far. Meanwhile, I believe Caleb, you know, they are very, very scary teams. Both one of the inaugural teams of this event. So, you know, both of these definitely teams to watch out for. Oh, sorry.
Gesundheit.
I tried to mute myself. I tried to mute myself, but I missed the button.
Happens to the best of us.
Okay, so you see here Spellzap walking up and down a little bit. What he's trying to do here is find a fight that he can take for some EXP. And he's decided that, you know what? This dinosaur, although it's not something that you normally want to kill, is going to be a good way for him to get a few levels before he has to go dive into something more dangerous. So not the end of the world here, but his levels are definitely fairly low, being about 15 minutes into the seed. We apologize for the timer. We just didn't start it right off the bat. These runners are all, of course, timing things properly, and we're about 10 minutes. We started the timer about 10 minutes late.
We certainly are. Yeah, Spellzap getting up to level 7 and 8, which not a bad level to be diving these volcano floors. Though, then again, maybe it is. We've got shuffled encounters. Who knows what kind of scary junk he's going to run into down here.
Yeah, for sure. Ooh, Sea Snake's not exactly what you're looking for. He does manage to get away. One thing of note with such good early magic is that you can definitely dive a lot earlier because, you know, even at level 7, he's still got like 4 charges of nuke or something like that. Multiple charges of fade, multiple charges of life, cure 4, everything. So, oh, and wow, getting rewarded for the early northern dock play, picking up the canoe.
Oh, yeah. That's big. That means that the Crescent Lake Party Planners are going to be heading to that Crescent Lake area to get in the air.
Yeah. The floater, of course, opening up a ton more entrances. Oh, and the cube. Wow. Okay, focus. Holy smokes. So the floater, of course, opening up a ton more locations, but not only that, it also just allows you to move so much faster. The earlier you can get in the air, the better off your team's going to be, as it just lets you navigate the overworld map that much quicker.
Absolutely true. However, it doesn't look like they're going to be super far ahead, since it looks like Ailmarkin is also going for that northern dock right now.
Yeah, not surprising. Once again, you want to split up the map as much as you can, and without the canoe, there's not a ton of options available to the runners. So, you know, this team was going to have to come here eventually, but this is still a really nice edge Not a huge insurmountable one by any means, but the fact that Spellzap's gotten out of here, gotten those items and information over to his partner is really nice.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Caleb has found the Temple of Ordeals and is moonwalking his way through the teleporter maze.
Yeah, so if you are someone who's memorized the vanilla game, unfortunately for you, that's not going to help here very much, because all of these teleporters are shuffled. You do not know which one's the right one is, you just got to do it through trial and error. They are consistent, however, so once you know that something's wrong, you can adapt the next time you hit the same decision.
Unless you're like me and you just forget every time, and so you end up going in circles for hours.
No, that never happens.
No, I've never gotten stuck for 15 minutes in the teleporter maze of the Temple of Ordeals, and I am frankly offended that you would insinuate such, Jat.
Oh, I know. Of course, I never would think that. Spellzap, who has probably literally never gotten lost in the Castle of Ordeals, also did just pick up another incentive item, the crystal from that incentivized box. So remember before we were talking about incentivized locations. Well, that chest were in the vanilla game, I believe you get the adamant, which turns into the Excalibur. Had the crystal here, which we will be able to turn into Matoya for probably nothing, but, you know, might be something.
Yeah, I mean, with 8 loose, it very well could be something.
Mm-hmm.
And at roughly the 18-minute mark, Danny is in the air and is the first of the 4 runners on our screen to do so.
Very, very nice. Now, something of note that you might not think about for co-op, but Ordeals is actually interesting because after you do Ordeals, you get to tell your partner the right way to go through it if they need to come back. So once again, co-op being a nice place to be.
That's a good point. Yeah, if you take notes as to what the correct teleporters are, your partner can go through there. Or you can tell your partner, there weren't really much in the way of shards, you've already gotten the key item for me, maybe you don't have to go to Ordeals.
So Reese doing a great job of keeping all of our floors up to date. We got all of our various spell levels, so thanks a lot to Reese and Rubes for keeping our tracking, our A-team trackers going on. Now, something of note is I did want to quickly touch, as our runners kind of approach the mid-game here, on this scaling. So our bosses are 70 to 250% stats, and their HP is 100 to 250%. That is some pretty tough scaling, which makes me think that these runners are probably going to have to get some levels at some point beyond the early 20s that you see people dive during something like the spring tournament. We did just see Frost Dragons in Ordeals, but I haven't really seen any other grind outside of that. So the runners are probably hoping to find something a little bit better than that to just get, maybe into the mid to late 20s for it.
Well, I mean, you say that we didn't see a grind. However, we did see that T-Rex outside of Crescent Lake that could potentially be a big one.
Awesome. Yeah, really, really good point. The other thing, I guess, related to that is where's a sword that we can swing? And also, where is a ribbon? Those are things that are kind of on your checklist for being able to beat the game. Because once again, remember, both runners need to be able to defeat Chaos, and there's no black belts. So we're going to need a sword, and we likely want at least one ribbon. And those things kind of are missing in action right now. So hopefully our runners are able to pick some of those up along the way, as they've been opening a lot of boxes with not a lot to show for it.
Very true. Ooh, that was fast at level 4 black magic. So we're getting some really good stuff going on in the magic department.
Oh yeah, magic is fantastic. I guess the only thing that's a little bit unfortunate is the fact that Invis 2 is level 6, and there's no Ruse. So, Ruse is also level 6, sorry. They're both level 6, which means that, evasion magic might be a little bit hard to come by. But there is a guaranteed Ruse item in the seed, so, if they find that, that would help. And, you can, if you have enough levels, Invis 2 at level 6 is manageable. But with these clamp bosses, that could be a bit of a concern.
Yeah, and one of our runners picked up an Invis shirt plus an Invis 2 shirt plus 3. Ooh. So we've got really nice. we're okay as far as that goes.
Yeah, so that was not guaranteed because of the randomized treasures and also the randomized spells. So there's a lot of variance, but yeah, that's great. I'm glad that you saw someone pick that up.
I didn't. Classic Gamer in the chat did and pointed it out to us. Classic Gamer 76, unofficial third commentator.
Oh, and Rock Solid also pointing out that Spellzap has a katana, which is like exclusively good for him, but fantastic for him. The katana doesn't have the best damage in the game, but it has the highest crit rate, which is really, really nice. And will especially help against high absorb bosses in the late game. So katana is about as good of a weapon as you need for fighting the endgame bosses.
Yeah, absolutely. The katana is a absolutely wonderful weapon for a ninja in the end game. The only thing that might end up being better on a ninja is if you happen to find a masa.
Yeah. But once again, with randomized treasures, we are not guaranteed to even be able to find a single masa. We don't know what swords are in this seed.
And Spellzap just picked up that Invis shirt Invis 2 shirt +3, as well as the slab.
Wow, that's going to be a really long fetch quest to potentially get absolutely nothing, so I'd be surprised if they turned that in, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at a point where it's just like, I really gotta find this one last thing.
So the two key items that they are guaranteed to need to win the seed are the loot and the key, because they need both of them in order to beat Chaos. But outside of that, they technically could get by without any other of the key items. Well, the canoe and the floater, which they already have, but the key and the loot are the only ones that they actually need at this point in order to win.
And Spellzap has found the Bridge of Destiny, and is just like, no thanks, I'm all set.
Yeah.
Not ready to take on War Mech right now.
Yeah. There is a required War Mech there, so not something that this party is quite ready to take on, but that is also a boatload of EXP that you need to consider when you're considering doing a grind. Speaking of boatload
of XP, we got 3 purple worms, which is an insane XP encounter.
And they're casting Cure, which is so nice, because these things are super dangerous if they punch you. But they're just, sitting doing not a whole heck of a lot. Casting Cure, casting Dark. This is going to be a bunch of EXP here. How much does it get?
Let's see.
4,500.
Not bad at all. Jumps to level 12 and 13 when they were level 7 and 8.
Mm-hmm. So Caleb, meanwhile, doing a little bit of shopping in Elfland, while Danny is just exploring Earth 3, and Ale is on a seafloor. So, a little bit of action going on all over the place. The thing with co-op, as I know it can be difficult to keep track of what's going on, is there's floors, shuffling, they're in the air all of a sudden, they're sharing items, they're sometimes dying on purpose, but for the most part, these runners, they're just opening boxes, looking for shards, having a good old time.
They certainly are, and the vampire attempts to put the party to sleep, gets nuked a little bit, and nuked a whole lot more to say goodbye to the vampire. It survived an entire round, though. I mean, that's big for the vampire.
And we find the adamant, which once again, probably going to turn into junk, but not a bad item to pick up. And luckily we also have the rod. Well, not luckily, Danny definitely knew that, but we have the rod, so going to be able to continue diving deeper.
That we are.
And it looks like Caleb hot on her heels as he is on the exact same floor. And you can just see time and time again that these runners are just following in each other's footsteps. And that's just because there's kind of a understanding of the various routes you need to take in order to win this game. And that means that these runners are all going to be prioritizing, similar locations at similar times. It's not exactly the same. They're going to have various incremental advantages and disadvantages based off their exact routing decisions. But these runners have to check the same entrances, and in co-op, it happens so fast.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
Wow, that is a pretty nice armor shop in Gaia. Pro Rings +5 and gold bracelets, both for sale. Now, it's not cheap, but that will go pretty far. Those are very much not quite best in slot. Pro Rings are best in slot, gold bracelets are close to, but that's some really great armor for our mages.
Oh yeah, you can't go wrong with gold bracelets.
Yeah, technically opals are marginally better if they roll up the same amount, but gold bracelets are what you're looking for the end game lots of the time.
Absolutely. Opal is nice to have if you find it. Gold bracelets are reliable.
Yeah. Okay, Ale. Looks like he's going to be taking on Kraken, or maybe Kraken. And we have Lich. Oh, wow, this is super good, actually. because I don't know if when Spellzap was here, if he took this fight. So this is going to be kind of a nice free 4 orbs for Ale, and he can let Caleb know as well that, hey, if you come to this location, you can kill Lich for 4 free shards.
Yeah, I don't think Spellzap went and fought Lich. So yeah, that's definitely a little tick that Team Caleb will get. And Spellzap has found the Temple of Fiends.
Ooh, okay, so remember how I said that all they need to win is a key and a loot, technically? Well, I was lying a little bit. Technically, if they didn't find the Temple of Fiends, they might need, like, say, the Chime in order to go into that entrance. But now that they found the Temple of Fiends, they are guaranteed that they will not need... assuming they can find enough shards in the entrances they have access to, they will not need any more key items except for the loot and the key, which have still eluded all our runners, notably.
That they have. But yeah, Old Man Sardis Cave is actually the Temple of Fiends today, so nice and easy to get to once you're in the air. And above, at Titan's Tunnel West, we've got a Marsh Split.
Yeah, so the second of the 2 splits. This, once again, leads to 2 different bottoms, which is important, as that's where you're going to find, key items and various things like that. So Spellzap going to be checking both sides. Yeah, Danny, nice use of ice on those gas dragons. Meanwhile, Caleb, nice use of nuke on everything, because you know what? Turns out what most monsters are weak to is a nuke to the face.
Different Bottoms is the name of my favorite queer horror romance.
That's a good one. Ale is on the Bridge of Destiny. I'm deeply suspicious of this. I don't know if he remembers that required War Mech is on, because I don't know if his party can kill it.
No, I can't imagine that they can. He'd have to be real lucky with rolling up.
So War Mech here has at least 1,000 HP, up to 2,500. It is possible for him to win this, but this is going to be difficult.
Yeah, here's hoping he gets to go first a bunch. Yeah, well, the fighter's down. Some nukes are going out.
Yeah.
If he gets lucky, then maybe he'll survive, but...
Yeah, he needs this War Mech to... Okay, that's good. He needs this War Mech to have close to minimum HP. And, wow, 6
he
nukes
does it. Oh my god, that's so much XP at this point.
Yeah, that's really good. At this point, this can be... This is Kraken or Tiamat, so this boss fight is not free either, but I think he has... What level's Brack at? Because if he has Brack, that's going to be pretty doable. Oh, Brack's level 2, yeah, this is definitely doable.
It certainly is. I would have been tempted to go out and save, to be honest. That was a lot of XP, and I wouldn't want to risk, Brack not necessarily working.
I would definitely go for this with 3 Brack casters. If I only had 1, I would 100% agree. But with 3 Brack casters, 26.9% chance. That's doable. Oh, and Classic Gamer also pointing out that there's a 3 eye tile. I completely missed it. I don't know where that is, so people can let me know in chat.
Yeah, I mean, there's that grind you need if you end up needing it.
Oh, and our tracker Rubes tonight pointing out that there was 2 house items for sale in Gaia, which means that our vendor item today is a house. So that's really, really astute tracking by Rubes to point that out. So our vendor item has been found. It is a house. So no, not going to be needing anything from the shops today.
Aside from all those heal potions we inevitably need.
Yes, of course. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Shadaus, saying that the cube floor was the 3-eye tile. So no one's going to miss that. Definitely a top-tier grind.
Apologies, my Discord crashed. I missed what you said.
The cube floor is a 3-eye tile, and it's a top-tier grind.
That it is.
Yeah, okay, Rock Solid asking a question, Classic Gamer answering. Can you soft block if you talk to Sarah and warp away? And the answer is no, because unfortunately Sarah does not warp you in Entrance Floor Shuffle. You have to walk all the ways out like a pleb. Okay, looks like we get a little bit new information on Spellzap's side. Meanwhile, Ale is finding out, oh wow, this shop is fantastic. I would love some of this. And Caleb is fighting our favorite EXP, our second favorite EXP pinata, the Egoma. Found in the wild on the on Sky 4, so not quite where it normally is, but still very nice. Classic Gamer pointing out once again is there are 4 screens going on at the same time right now. That there is a saber shirt has been found, and critical item pickup there by Caleb. I believe he just found the pan flute, and the pan flute, of course, is the lute with the basically the multi-instrumentalist Sarah, as it's called, which means that the name of the lute will just be a random instrument. So Caleb finding the loot, that is one of the key items that is required in order for these teams to win, alongside the key. So at this point, if they find the key, all they need to do is get up to 32 shards, and they will just be able to go tackle the Temple of Fiends Revisited immediately and go win.
Fantastic. Ooh, and I see that we also just picked up a ribbon as well.
Where was that ribbon? Was that also in Mermaids?
It may have been Classic Gamer just saying ribbon in chat, so...
Oh, and it looks like we got a little bit of slideshow strats coming from Ale. That's okay, it will pick up. Okay, but Mermaid's having all the goods. And I believe Spellzap has also been there, which means that the information is going to be shared on that team, and I would not be surprised at all to see Danny going there at some point, as well as Ale Markin to go pick up that ribbon.
Well, Danny right now needs to get past this Tiamat fight.
Oh,
and
so...
ribbon. So... I'm not sure if Danny's already been to Mermaids, or if she found a different ribbon and we missed it.
Gets that Brack, though. Very nice. Brack, once again, on Tiamat, has a 26.9% chance of hitting. So a very good fight. Gets those 2 shards for lighting the Earth, quote-unquote, orb. Wow, yep. Our item magic is fantastic. We have an Invis shirt, an Invis 2 shirt, Lock 2 gauntlet, and a Saber shirt. Or sorry, 2, Invis shirt, Lock gauntlet, just like every single piece of casting gear that you could really want is available.
Absolutely, yeah, it's just fantastic caster item magic today, on top of fantastic actual magic today. It's just a magical scene.
Yeah, I guess when you think about it, like, the vanilla spells are really, really good. It's kind of underrated, but like Saber... Invis 2, those spells are really important to be on it, and sometimes that randomized item magic can make you a lot worse off. But in this case, yes, we're lacking some sweepers, but you don't really need that. What you really want is that reliability in the late game. So having this item magic going to be a big boost to our players' late game safety.
Sure, but I mean, basically all of our runners have 3 sweeper casters already with powerful level 1 sweepers, so it like, not having sweeping items doesn't really matter.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. With Nuke, why am I casting Fire 2 when I have 27 casts of Nuke?
Precisely. Or in the case of Spellzap, 18 casts of Nuke and 9 casts of Fade.
Mm-hmm. So Danny finding the unfortunate truth, which is that when your partner saves Sarah, you do not also save Sarah. So, finds the Canaria Castle, but cannot talk to Sarah, unfortunately. Spellzap, it's Classic Gamer pointing out that Spellzap found Bahamut at some point and has promoted, which is really nice with that katana. And
speaking of things that are real nice, Danny just found an Aegis shield.
Ooh. So once again, best in slot shield armor. However, no good for that ninja. So the ninja has some advantages so far, with that katana being really the best weapon that we found, but gonna lack that dragon armor and Aegis shield that the runners with a fighter will get.
Absolutely. That fighter is going to be very, very tanky, which with the kind of scaling that we're seeing might be, what is needed to get through the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah. So, so our tracker Reese has Bahamut in the Marsh Split bottom. So, and that is in Titan's West. So
it's not too hard to get to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and there's also a Vorpal +3. Okay, that is a decent sword for our fighters in ordeals. A Vorpal +3 will do the trick. It's kind of like a worse katana, But the fighter has so much more HP and has life available, so I would not be unhappy to be a fighter party in this situation, especially with the fact that we have Saber available.
At +3, is it still worse than a katana?
Well, a vanilla katana, I believe, has something like 32 attack. A vanilla Vorpal has 24. With +3, it's going up to 30, so it's probably better than the katana at that point, if the katana is vanilla.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so these plus minus, they are what we call weapon and armor, blessing and curse, or blurst. And what they basically do is they modify the stats. Pluses are good, minuses are bad, TLDR, but a couple numbers of note are that each point of positive plussing on the weapons is going to add 2 damage as well as 1.5% crit, and as well as add a little bit of additional hit. Basically, it will get a bonus hit 1 level earlier than it normally will. So pluses are good, negatives are bad. If it's really positive, it's really good. If it's really negative, it's really bad. And, you know, the rest is math, and math is for non-Twitch commentators.
Absolutely true. So Rock Solid in chat pointing out that the katana this time was a +2, so the katana is definitely going to be better for spell zap, but yeah, that Vorpal is a perfectly reasonable sword for our fighters if we don't find anything else.
Yes, definitely. And we might not. Once again, with randomized weapons, or sorry, randomized treasures on, there's not guaranteed to be 3 ribbons out there. There's not guaranteed to be a Masa or an Excal. Those could be the best swords that are in this seed.
Very, very true. You know, I would say it's lucky that we found what we have, considering what may or may not have been out there.
Yeah, for sure. Rubes or Chacker pointing out in chat that we have also found a chime. So, like in the vanilla game, the chime does open up the Mirage Tower location. So that is just another entrance that our runners can check.
That it is, and, you know, with how many shards we gotta find, it may be a necessary one.
Yeah, but Spell Zap, I think, is doing something... Yeah, okay. Spell Zap is doing something that makes me think that they're getting pretty close to go mode, because he's coming back here to kill a Fiend to just light some shards. Or, sorry, to light an orb to get some shards. However, they are still critically missing the key, unless I'm mistaken, so... You know, he's going and backtracking, but these runners, they need to find the key or else they cannot win.
Yeah, it is kind of an odd move when you don't have the key yet, but, I mean, Spellzap's a much better runner than me, so, and, again, is a champion in this style, so I'm not going to question his actions here.
Oh, and speaking of, I don't think we've seen this before. A.L. Markin in the Ice Cave, going to be showing off a neat usage of warp here. In the vanilla game, warp is not something that's
He's not showing us that, because he took a step down.
Oh, actually, our trackers say that we've just found the key as well, in Earth 2.
Okay then, yeah, it looks like Caleb's got it.
So that is huge. So that means that Team Caleb are the first team in go mode. They can, if they have enough shards found between the two of them, as well as the Fiends, they do not need to open any more boxes. They can just go and tell their partner exactly what shards they found, where they are, and then they can just go win. So with that loot and that key, that means that team has entered go mode. Yeah, so that's some important news for our runners here.
Absolutely. Oh my god, Pro Rings are +5 this seed? That is ridiculously good to see.
Oh yeah. Providing resistance to death. Pro Rings are just everything you want. They're fantastic. Best in slot. Ugh, just great. Now let's see if we can figure out where. I'm taking a look at my tracker notes. Okay, so remember how I was speaking about the chime for Mirage? That is where the key is. So these runners have to go to that Mirage Tower with that chime in order to find that key.
Well, there we go. Chime required, Mirage required.
Once again, shoutouts to Reese and Rubes who are doing a great job of tracking tonight. There's a lot going on. Yeah. Spells up, though. Onto the Bridge of Destiny. Going to be taking out Warmech. He is the only runner on screen right now, I believe, to have promoted. So he's got that going for him. And
which is nice.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing this Warmech taken on again. Now, Warmech is part of the second set of fiends, script and spell pool, which means this Warmech could have nuke, we just didn't see it. So this could still be a very scary fight, but we didn't see like a ton of HP, which means nukes and fades will get the job done here.
I know it's
if he has enough time.
I know it's long old news at this point, but gosh, it warms my heart every time I see that Wiz Sahag, Red Sahag encounter be runnable.
Oh, I know. Yeah, shoutouts to our devs as is tradition. They've done fantastic work on this game to add so many features.
And Spell Zap going at Warmech, throwing out an Invis shirt, casting some magic.
Ale finishing up Ice Cave, it looks like. Walking out. And the nice thing is that even in Entrance Floor Shuffle, Ice Cave is still gonna, that staircase at the end is still gonna get you out safe and sound, so you don't have to, worry about that. So Ale is out, key in hand. Him and his partner are now frantically saying, do we have enough shards? Where can I get the other ones quickly? Where are the bosses I haven't killed? And yeah, we're gonna be seeing, a Temple of Fiends Revisited dive in not that long.
No, not at all. I mean, they've got plenty of shards. They've got gone ahead and, got all the items they need, so it's just a matter of making sure they've got levels and gear to the point that they feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Caleb has found Bahamut, so has promoted, and can let his partner Ale know where that is. Meanwhile, Spellzap still struggling against Warmech, but this is actually a really good situation for him if he can take it out. These are the two party members. Wow, and he gets there. I don't know if this was planned or not, but those are the two party members he wants dumping all the EXP on, and he got it on the exactly correct two party members. So really, really nice for Spellzap. The reason I say this is because the way EXP works in this game is that you basically get an EXP pool from each fight, and then it's divided among all your alive characters. So if you get 1,000 EXP from a fight with 4 characters, you get 250 EXP each. But if you get 1,000 EXP, you'll hit 2 characters up, they each get 500. And the way that Final Fantasy works is, generally speaking, you want your levels distributed unequally onto your primary melee damage dealer as well as your life caster, and that's exactly what Spellzap got. So nicely done by him.
And Spellzap taking on yet another fiend, goes ahead and Brackens the Kraken to light up another orb.
Yeah, and if someone in chat can figure out the orb count there, but that was looking pretty full. They just really need to go to Ordeal's location at this, or sorry, the Mirage Tower at this point to go and get that key, and they're going to be in great shape.
Absolutely, especially after the way they were able to funnel all of that XP from Warmech onto the Ninja and the White Wizard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would not be surprised at all if Danny decides to go there to pick up that Warmech EXP as well as those 4 orbs.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising, though. I imagine, since Spellzap's found Bahamut, that she might go promote before going to do that, just so that she can put all that extra gear on the fighter.
Yeah, and our trackers, as well as chat pointing out, though, the problem with the Mirage Tower play right now is the fact that they don't have the chime. That chime is loose in Waterfall. So.
And where was Waterfall? Waterfall was Ordeals, so they gotta go to Vanilla Ordeals in order to find Waterfall, in order to find the chime, so that they can go to Mirage Tower to get the key and be in GOAT mode.
Yeah, and this is where I have to, look at the difference in strategies. So Spellzap is double-dipping locations that Danny has already been, and getting shards, and he's going out to a huge shard advantage over Team
Caleb.
However, Caleb and Ale they don't need to open any more chests except what they need, so they have a big exploration advantage. And we're going to have to see which of those ends up mattering more. Now, my guess, based off the strengths of these runners, is that Spellzap having a huge shard, edge is going to be nice, but he really needs to go pick up some extra exploring to make sure that this team finds that key. And I hope they haven't forgotten the fact that they need the key, because they're kind of playing like they're in go mode already, when in fact they are not.
Meanwhile, Caleb is going and getting his grind on these eyes, and has already caught up to Spellzap's 2 high-leveled characters.
Yeah, Eyes absolutely great. Not only that, we are getting 50% bonus EXP at this point, as he has, I believe, at least 8 shards. or sorry, at least 16 shards. So, going to be getting it even faster than normal.
And Spellzap grabbing the loot, which I thought Danny had already done, but maybe not.
He's just here getting shards.
Fair enough. And gear, because I think there was a ribbon up here as well.
Yeah, and the ribbon. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Spellzap is 1 shard away. So once they get that key, and Spellzap gets 1 more shard, he can enter the Temple of Fiends Revisited already. But we know that they are at least 2 dungeon dives away from that at this point. Ale taking on Tiamat. It's kind of funny in this seed. Although Tiamat and Kraken are the later bosses, with level 2 Brack and so many Brack casters, those first fiends are really not that scary.
No, like if they go first and they happen to have a scary spell, it might still be a problem, but with that much Brack, it's usually not an issue.
Yeah, I also just saw Ale's shard count, which is also looking super healthy. So right now, the Crescent Lake Party Planners have the disadvantage of not having the key, but they have a small shard lead, especially over Caleb. But the Team Caleb are just in pretty good shape, but Caleb's really got to start getting those shards in quick.
Yeah, though Caleb did just spend a few minutes grinding up, so his shards may start going up pretty quick after that, now that he feels comfortable with his level.
And as our tracker Rube's pointing out, mentioning that Danny also has the smaller amount of shards, and we've kind of seen that actually throughout the seed. You kind of notice that on the diagonals, the runners tended to kind of be doing roughly the same thing. That's just depending on what partner was doing what route. So it might just be the fact that this route that Spellzap and Ale took had most of the shards, meanwhile the route that Caleb and Danny took had more of the key items. So, that's not necessarily just indicative of how Danny and Caleb have played. It's much more just where the shards were actually located.
Crab Cakes in chat is trying to start a petition to ban Caleb from Restream until he gets rid of the backwards walking. But Crab Cakes, if we ban the backwards walk, how will I get to make moonwalk jokes?
And I did want to shout out to Loveny Dog in chat, who's asking, what's happening here. So we are, about an hour in, so we should probably quickly introduce what's going on. So my name's Jat. I'm joined here in the booth by Dr. Funkin tonight. We are looking at the Final Fantasy Randomizer Irongol Co-op Double Dragon Championship. And what you're looking at here is the inaugural race. So there's actually a number of teams also running behind the scenes, and they are all fighting for the first belt, essentially. Whoever wins this initial rumble will be going in first place for this season. What you're looking at here is co-op Final Fantasy Randomizer, which means these runners are communicating, they are sharing notes, they are sharing key items, but they are not sharing shards, which is what they need to win. So they are going as fast as possible to see which team can have both runners defeat Chaos first. Seen a bunch of chaos so far. Bunch of craziness going on, entrance floor shuffles, clamps, items all over the place, but I guess the big note is that we have level 1 nuke, which is pretty great. We got a katana, we got a vorpal. Caleb and Ale have the key and the loot, which is what they need to win, but they are in the process of getting some more shards. Spellzap and Danny have a few more shards, but are still trying to find that elusive key, which we know they have to go to Ordeals and the Mirage Tower for. So we'll have to wait and see when they do that.
I don't know what chaos you've seen. I haven't even seen any of our party members go into the Temple of Fiends Revisited yet.
Crabcake's asking in chat, so it is shuffled across zones, but it is not shuffled like random spells, not random generated scripts. It's just shuffled scripts. Oh, and here we go. Spellzap making the play that's required, going to go to Ordeal. So he is 2 dungeons away. Meanwhile, Caleb's got a lot of orbs to pick up, but his grind is done. He's got the items. which is how fast can he extract information from his partner Ale on where these shards are.
Meanwhile, Danny finding the eye tile, which means she knows where to grind when it's time to grind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently is right now.
I'm pretty sure that Spells app found this previously and let his partner know that this is where you're going to do your grind while he goes and finishes getting the key items. Like, this team is good enough, and like, yeah, I said maybe they forgot the key, but realistically, they did not forget about the key. They were just, choosing to prioritize some other things. Spells app said, I'm going to go get my shards, I'm going to get ready for this, and then I'm going to get a couple levels, find you the key, and then we're both going to enter the Temple of Fiends Revisit at the same time. But go get a few levels, Danny, and we should be good to go.
Absolutely. Hitting level 21, though, so it's not like she's particularly far behind as far as levels go.
No, I'd be curious to see how high of a level she does decide to go. She is going with a 4-person party, but it's a very, very powerful 4-person party with so much nuke. With that Fire to Swing and that Vorpal, they have 3 life casters, so, that party is quite strong. You could go in a little bit lower level than you would be in sub-seeds just because of how powerful that is. Okay, and Spells out picking up his loose chime. I would anticipate, though, at least, mid-20s, mid to late 20s, just so you have the HP pool to survive a nuke on those red mages, which can max out at 400 damage.
Yeah, with the fact that there are, several nukes and nuclears in the spell pool and skill pool in there, you definitely want your, at least 2 of your casters to be able to survive that.
Mm-hmm. We also haven't seen we didn't really see anything from Warmech, and remember, Warmech does have some of those spells, which means that if there's no nukes or nuclears on Warmech that we saw, that means those other fiends are going to be more dangerous. We also didn't see other critical spells like Cure 4 or Slow 2. So...
Very, very true. So at this point, both of our teams are properly in go mode. They've got their key, they've got their loot. Danny making the grind, we're about to have our loot.
Yes.
And we are about to be in go mode. I misread where Spells Out was flying to. But we're about to have both teams in go mode at this point. So I guess it's just a matter of, grinding and making sure that both teams get enough shards.
Yep. It's shards and levels, and how much are these runners willing to push to see, like, how low can they go? The lower you go in, the better off you're, the faster you're in, and that those seconds could mean everything. But if you wipe, well, it's not only wiping for yourself, it's also wiping for your whole team. Like, you cannot done when one person finishes. It's when both runners finish, and having one half of your team wipe in Temple of Fiends Revisited can be crushing. So, there's different strategies that these runners can employ. They can wait to go in together as high as possible. They can send one person in earlier while the other person grinds. We'll have to see what these runners decide to do, but decisions are coming, and they really got to go. Yep,
and it also can, just with the type of runner each party member is, or tag team member is, like, Spellzap may be more comfortable going in at a lower level than Danny is, just because he's got so much solo experience in this game by comparison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Spellzap definitely the more well-known, at least outside of the community runners, the winner of the spring tournament this year, but Danny is no slouch.
Not at all, and I did not mean to insinuate.
Yeah. No, I know. I just wanted to give her a shout out, because she's often like, oh, Spellzap carries me, but Danny's holding her own, found a lot of key items here. Same thing with Team Caleb and Ale, both excellent runners. So
Spellzap's a great runner. I refuse to believe that he could have carried them specifically to a championship and a second place finish in back-to-back tournaments.
100% agreed. But you're right. Spellzap might feel comfortable going in a few levels earlier, just because he has experience running things like Thief, White Mage only. Okay, there we go. Boom, bang, key, go mode, and his last slice in the chest behind it. Oh, wait. Maybe he was one short still? But he is very, very, very close.
Yeah, potentially one more. It's got the ice floor here. I'm relatively sure there was a slice somewhere down here, so it'll be good.
And our tracker Rube's also saying that Ale is in full go mode, I believe, saying that he has enough shards. So definitely those people on the diagonals found a lot of shards a lot earlier. So Danny, we're gonna have to see how long she takes this grind for. It's gonna be going. It's gonna get tough. Caleb's already done his grind for the most part, but he's got a bunch more shards to find.
It was real rude of Dark Moon to have them set up on the diagonals like that instead of right next to each other.
Come on, Dark Moon. Know where our runners are going to go. Do your research. Figure out exactly what route they're going to be, so that way you can have paired up routing. Shoutouts to Dark Moon tonight. Shoutouts to Dark Moon, our restreamer for the night. Crabcake's asking a very reasonable question, which I need to look up the answer to. How many other teams are in this race? I believe there's 6 or 7 teams total, but I'm going to get the exact number. 6. Thank you, Reese. Yeah, so there's 4 other teams in this race, alongside the 2 that are on stream.
And it looks like 28 was the magic number for Danny to finish the grind and start going to find some shards.
Okay, so 28 is a carefully selected number. I believe it's based off the Vorpal breakpoint. Chat can correct me, but I think the Vorpal falls into the 29, level 29, where you get the bonus hit normally, which means the Vorpal plus 3 will get the extra hit around 27 or 28. So, 27, I think. So that is a really big, important number, because basically that extra hit going from 4 hits to 5 hits is more than a 25% bonus in damage, because you also get the extra levels, or the extra damage per swing. So, nice calculated play there. Shoutouts to Rake and Knight in chat. Man, randomizers are so cool. I agree. If you are interested in what you're seeing tonight, we actually not only have these runners on screen, but we also have a lot of existing and new runners running behind the scenes. We actually have a couple teams of runners who have started within the last month or two who are about to take part in our Duckling Derby, which starts in January, specifically designed to get new players into the randomizer. So if you're interested, come tune in on RPG Limit Break every Sunday for the next 4 weeks, and then take part in the Duckling Derby, which starts in January. Signups are open now. Come join us in our Discord. We're friendly, and we love to help new players get started. So if this looks like fun, come join us.
Well, Jat's friendly. I bite.
Yeah, well, one of us has to be the good cop here.
Spellzap going ahead and taking a fight with a Gray Shark and a Big Eye, aka the EXP Pinata.
Mm-hmm. And, oh man, Ale in the Temple of Fiends. Is he going back 2,000 years into the past?
Looks like he's checking some chests first.
Yeah, or just checking this, or just taking this grind. This is a pretty... It's not the best grind in the world because they have some HP, so the nukes take more time. So, like, for example, it's slower than grinding the eyes. However, the big thing about it is that it's easily accessible without him having to go out of his way, and he can definitely pick up, the 3 or 4 extra levels that he wants here before he goes into the Temple of Fiends Revisited. So I really like this play.
He also hadn't found Dragon Armor +4, and there's a Dragon Armor +4 here, so that paid off in spades.
Yeah, for sure. His partner might have just told him, by the way. Like, we always are like, hey, he just happened to find that. But in co-op, a lot of the time, that's his partner saying, hey, Caleb saying, hey, I already checked this. There's a great grind you can take 3 levels on and pick up a Dragon Armor.
Very good point. I hadn't seen if Caleb had been here to check those chests yet or not.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like Spellzap's doing a couple more entrances. I wonder what he's looking for. If he's looking for a better weapon for his partner or what, because I think he's pretty close to ready to go.
Yeah, it's a very good question. But considering he's checking these keylock chests, I have to imagine he's just checking some free ones to see if there's something better than that Vorpal.
Mm-hmm. Something of note, too, is that yes, he's in go mode, but once again, both runners need to defeat Chaos, so there's a couple different strategies on this, but if your partner's, running around getting a bunch of shards, you can either go try and open extra boxes to find them better gear, you can dive to see how difficult the Temple of Fiends Revisited is, or you can go grind to get a bunch more levels for yourself, so that way your dive is safer. So, interesting to see what Spellzap decides to do here.
Well, he's gonna drop that Flame Shield -2 and pick up an upgrade to an Ice Shield +4. Seems like a smart decision to me.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get some hoorays.
Best in slot armor for the shield slot for the thief. So really, really nice there. Oh yeah, sorry, Classic Gamer. If I said Vorpal for Spell Zap, I meant the Vorpal for his partner. Like finding a better weapon for Danny.
And that large knife +2 just isn't gonna cut it.
Nope. So yeah, looks like we're level 28 on Ale's side. How long is he going to take this? Now, there's a question that maybe he's taking this until his partner's ready to go. But you also kind of want to get some information about the dive a little early if you can. So we'll have to see how high he wants to take this fight. But to be honest, these are worth amazing EXP. Plus, he has 100% bonus EXP from having 32 shards. So all of that is really nice stuff.
Absolutely, and when you get a huge pack like this, that is a lot of XP.
But okay, looks like Spell Zap. Remember how we were talking about the various strategies of what you can do while you're waiting for your partner to get the shards? Spell Zap has decided he's checked as many chests as he can. It's time to go get some bonus levels for safety.
And I don't blame him for that. He looks like he's decided to go with 3-man instead of 2-man strats here. Which, not a bad plan considering how much wonderful sweeping magic you've got on those black mages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mages are a little bit different than melee characters. Mages basically, yes, they get more shards, but more spell charges, but when all your spells are low level, that doesn't matter so much. So you need less levels on your mages than you want on your melee characters. The one benefit is health. And that matters way more on someone like your life caster, your white mage here, than it does on your black mages. You basically just need to get a fast cast off, a lot cast off, maybe a temperament cast, and then they die.
True. It looks like he's keeping, while it is up in the top slot, so he may not care if it falls off, he's not actively trying to kill off that black mage, so he may be trying to get yet another caster to be able to survive an errant nuke.
Yeah, I think he would prefer perhaps if it was dead, but he's like, it's not worth the time to purposely kill it off. Oh, and here we go. Ale has killed Garland, talked to Sarah to, she was blocking his path, and is in the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah, at about an hour and 3 minutes, he's our first runner.
Caleb in some trouble against Kraken here.
Oh yeah, he's down to just casting Nuke and praying at this. Yeah, I was gonna say Brack is the better pray spell on this at this point. Luckily, Kraken missing again, throwing out another Brack, still ineffective. He's having bad Brack luck, which is exactly the sort of thing I was afraid of way back at the beginning when we saw Kraken for the first time.
Yeah, Rube's pointing out that Warbeck had Crack, so that is one scary spell that we didn't want to see, but it did also take out Caleb's entire party prior to this Kraken, but gets through with that high-level Black Mage. And, in decent shape here.
Yeah, that's an extremely high-level Black Mage at this point.
Yeah, nice use of max evasion to survive that, but one really big downside there is you don't really, once again, we were just talking about this, you don't really want your levels on your Black Mage, you want your levels on the melee character, and because all of them died on Warmech, the EXP got funneled to the wrong character, kind of like the opposite of what happened to Spell Zap.
Very, very true, but, at this point, at least he's got a black, like I said, now that Black Mage's got over 400 health, it can survive an errant nuke, so there's at least that going for it, even if it's not exactly what you want.
Yeah. While we've been talking, though, Ale already on to Carrie. Now, starting from Carrie's going to be a little bit scary, but the kind of gatekeepers of the Temple of Fiends Revisited, Kraken, Tiamat, and Chaos, all coming up soon on Ale Markenside. And with this scaling, these could be very, very scary bosses. Nothing, super easy about it.
No, not at all. And sometimes Carrie can really smoke you, but not this time. She gets nuked right back into the Stone Age.
Yeah, combination of strategies, going more nukes and fades on the earlier fiends. Yes, they can have some HP, but 100 to 250, that Carrie is still, maxing out at 1750 HP. Nukes and fades are going to do the trick, but, now we're on to the big boys. Kraken here could have over 2,000 HP. Tia could have close to 3,000 Chaos. Can have, 5,000 HP, so you're definitely going to have to go in on these melee damage dealers, and here we go. Wow. Ale is deciding to go speed and power strats. Remember how I just said you're going to have to go on your melee damage dealers? Well, going with 2 nukes. That Vorpal coming out, I didn't see that damage number though, but it looked okay. Keeping the fighter in the first slot, because yes, Kraken punches hard, but Kraken, that fighter is just incredibly high absorb.
Yeah, it was 517 on the first swing, 327 on the second, and that final nuke there takes down the big fish.
Yeah, so he did put a fast onto that knight from the red mage. That is, you know, still respecting a little bit of that. And Caleb just hit go mode. That was his 30-second shard. So he's about to be joining Ale in the Temple of Fiends Revisited. Meanwhile, Danny is just cleaning up her last couple.
Oh, she's getting cracked by Warmech. Took out one of the red mages.
Critically keeping her knight alive.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, we're throwing out a couple of nukes and a fast at the start of Tiamat here. 88 damage and a single hit. Mind you, fast hadn't gone out, but that's still rough on Tiamat. Tiamat pretty dodgy.
Yeah, there's definitely a consideration here on if you want to be going more on your fighter, but you also can just try and nuke your way through. He can roll, you know, only 1100 HP, in which case nukes and fades are going to do the trick, but every turn that he's alive is another turn that Tiamat can come out with a nuke.
Very true. And but we've got a fast off, and so at this point we're just going to try and both burn it down with nukes while swinging, and hey, there it goes. Goodbye, Tiamat.
Yeah, this is a really good sign for Caleb, as Caleb's levels are not, you know, super fantastic, although they're pretty good. But Ale is just telling his partner, hey, these fiends did this, not a ton of HP or a bunch of HP, but basically I just fasted and nuked my way through. So, you know, Team Caleb already in good shape and onto the final boss.
Absolutely, though I do believe that Caleb is a little less on the fast nuke strat, since I think that's a white mage egg.
Yes.
All right, so we got an Invis shirt going out, and a Saber shirt. A fast goes out. Chaos swings, 2 hits for a chunk of damage. Invis 2, another Invis 2 shirt. Not bad. So we've got 2 stacks of Invis off already. And picking some spells, we got a Temper. Another Temper. You love to see those go out before a swing. Lock comes out, making Chaos easier to hit. Swing, 5 hits, 524 damage. That's a good sign. And we're throwing out more Tempers. And another Lock. Chaos is swinging and doing very little damage. 6 hits, 801 damage. That is a big swing from that Vorpal fighter. Lock coming out, even easier to hit. More Tempers. And now we're nuking. Nuke 1. 198. Nuke 2. Didn't see it. Swing. 6 hits, 1181, and Ale Markin has terminated Chaos.
Once again, though, that is not the end of this race. His partner Caleb does need to finish, and Spellzap and Danny hot on their heels. Rock Solid doing what has become a tradition in co-op, giving a single G. No GGs yet, just a G. We'll get the GG once the second part of the team finishes up in Caleb. But Caleb already threw his first 2 fiends, hot on the heels. Will he get through Kraken? Will he get through Tia? We did not see much of anything from Ale's run, which means that he's just telling Caleb, like, I don't know, they all just died. I swung my sword. Yeah. Caleb could be hit by totally different RNG, totally different spells, or it's not like different, but could get spells and skills where Ale got swings. So, you know, this is not over yet.
No, not at all. It very well... It could be that any one of these had just a nightmare skill or spell list that we just never got to see, because Chaos was punchy.
Here we go, though. Caleb taking on Kraken, the big fish himself. Swings coming out, but doesn't get the perfect turn order, so Fast comes out second. Big punch from Chaos. Dodges both of his life casters in slots 1 and 2 there. Caleb might not respect this Kraken because Ale had no problem with it. and doesn't have a ribbon on that knight, so losing the ability to cast or to swing as his knight gets stopped, but goes with a really smart Cure 4. This is really, really nice. Cure 4 in battle cures all status elements except for dead and except for stone. So that unstunned the fighter, but that fighter is his last remaining life caster. But down goes Kraken after punching that white mage, taking some steps, but life cast goes out on that white mage. He is on to the last fiend refight. Yeah, Classic Gamer pointing out correctly. Kraken 2 honing in on those back row characters. Who needs to punch the life casters? I much prefer to punch the black mages in the back row as Caleb gets through. On to Tiamat. Yeah, so very similar strategies. Ale's like, this is what worked, you should continue doing it. But Tiamat definitely not a melee threat. Barely tickling that high-level black mage. Damage a little bit more of an issue, but as long as this Tiamat doesn't come out with some massive AoE, this fight will go totally fine.
Yeah, it seems like, we're getting a lot of punches from these, last 3 gatekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
And they aren't punching nearly as hard as you would expect.
Burt pointing out 4 hits, 93 damage. This is the way of the Vorpal. But then on the other side, it gets 10 hits, 500 damage. That is also the way of the Vorpal. And here we go. Caleb onto the final boss while Spell Zap is on the Kraken floor while Danny's about to dive. Last minute healing up.
Yep, always better to be safe and fully healed. You can't take using those heals in battle is generally a losing strategy against Chaos, so you may as well use them all now.
Yeah, and once again, going with a slightly different approach, keeping his knight in the first slot, but that's because Ale told him, hey, Chaos doesn't punch that hard. You're safe to keep your highly armored knight in the front, cast a couple invis, and then just heal him up if he gets low. So this is really, really nice play by Caleb in the true co-op sense. Going with Nukes though instead of Tempers. He knows that this Chaos is low HP as well because Ale took it out relatively quickly. So he's just going with the pure damage strat, knowing that his knight is there as a backup. Chaos doing basically nothing, 1 hit, 36 damage, and Viz 2 continuing to go out, but Chaos doing nothing but punching and punching badly. Spell Zap and Danny are going to need a miracle at this point.
They certainly are. We know it's not going to be Crack, because that's already gone through. Oh, that was a 364 damage nuke. That's a huge roll against Chaos. 8 hits, 448. Throwing out more fades, more nukes. Chaos is swinging and missing. Fade hits for 95. And there's 4 hits for 360 from the Vorpal. Nuke comes out for 118. Another nuke coming out for 228. Chaos still standing, but probably on the ropes at this point.
Meanwhile, Spellzap got through on massive backup strats with his white mage meleeing down Kraken, but gets through. Look at that power staff go. And Caleb finishing up with our first place on stream and first place overall, our inaugural Final Fantasy Randomizer Double Dragon belt holders, Team Caleb.
Yep, finishing with an official race time of 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 20 seconds. GG to Team Caleb.
Yeah, what happened to Spellzap? I have no idea, but he was down to a white mage and punching with his white mage with a power staff, but it worked. So shoutouts there, and we'll see if we will get joined from our winning team in a post-game interview. Meanwhile, our other team hot on their heels in the Temple of Fiends Revisited. And we are joined by someone.
We are joined in the booth by Caleb. GG, Caleb.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun. Everything kind of came up Caleb house.
It definitely did. Yeah, it seems like you guys just made all the right decisions at all the right times.
Yeah, Ale and I work really well together. He's super calm, collected. I think the trick here was we kept really thorough notes and it felt sort of chaotic and almost, I've made the joke before that it feels like you're a shopping cart full of tin cans going down some steps and there's just uncontrollable momentum. And at any point I was waiting for the wheels to pop off, but we kept it together.
And we are also joined in the booth by Ale, GG Ale.
Thank you guys. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these flags had a lot of crazy randomness in them.
Mhm.
But to be honest, everything rolled pretty bloody nicely.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we saw that nuke and fade at level 1, it was like, all right, well, there's the solution to 95% of the seed. We just got to find something to swing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you find a Vorpal +3 as well as white, like really good item magic, saber shirts, invis shirts, like, oh man, lock.
Yeah. I didn't use any of it except the invis shirt because I just like forgot about it in the end game. I was like, after Tia 2, I just was like, my brain ran out of my head with moving gear around because I was like, I knew to move the saber shirt, but I didn't.
It seemed like it was pretty straightforward Temple of Fiends Revisited. There wasn't really anything like particularly scary.
Yeah, Kraken 2 got a little hairy for me, but luckily the knight was able to survive with the life charges to kind of right those wrongs.
Spellzap ended up having to melee down Kraken 2 with a white mage and a power staff, so...
Ooh.
Doing it on Chaos as well. Using
I'm watching that right now. That's ludicrous. Like, what in the world?
Hit for 1086, it worked.
Yeah, get your single G's out in chat for Spellzap as he finishes up as his partner in the Temple of Fiends right behind him. Yeah, it was a really interesting tale of not two different teams, but two different players on each team, as one route seemed to have a lot of key items, and the other route seemed to have a lot of shards, as we had kind of Ale and Spellzap just with a ton of shards kind of coming out of the mid-game into the late game, and Caleb and Danny just like well behind in shards, not because of like poor play, but just because the routes that you guys ended up taking were kind of similar, and the shards were definitely tilted much more in one direction than the other.
Yeah, it was concerning early on where there weren't. It seemed like forever before he found the first few slices.
Were the right flags input? Are there actually slices in this flag?
we may have been wondering that. We're like, wait, we're 20 minutes in, we haven't found one. Like, what are we missing here?
The GMs to Darkmoon start coming in for rolling the seed. Shoutouts to our restreamer Darkmoon for rolling the seed because it was very generous. But yeah, Danny showing a lot of respect to Kraken here, while Caleb had none. His life casters casually sitting in the front row as his back row gets meleeed down turn 1 and 2.
It worked on Kraken, or I'm sorry, it worked on Warmech.
yeah,
it did.
You knew.
Well, I didn't know that he had first turn crack, so.
Oh, sorry. I meant you knew Kraken likes to back row more than he likes to punch the person in slot 1.
Yeah, you gotta use the Burt Reynolds big brain play. You can't get back row if you put your white mage up front. Taps forehead.
And Danny does indeed get through. Another kind of little difference here is that Danny did spend a lot more time grinding on the eyes than you did, Caleb. You went in a little bit lower level. But you did the eyes earlier as well. So you were slightly lower level, but not so much so. And Ale kind of gave you the info, I'm sure, that, hey, no one really did much of anything. Where the nuke's at? Yeah. Where's the nuclears at? Just punch and nuke your way through everything.
Yeah, there was nothing really of great adversity that I saw anywhere. Some like the early game encounters were nasty. Like I think lobsters rolled really high and they punched really hard. And the blue Ds kept ambushing me at one point, but I was doing my big brain Dangwoo style play where I'm just not going to hard reset, and then just asked Ale like what Topher was like on the hard reset, and he said it was a breeze. I was like, all right, it'd be dumb to not go in there on the hard reset then.
Yeah, nice point out of the strategies there. You know, communicating not only what it's like, but also where to go in on the power on the table. Like if it's bad, you say, hey, don't go in on a hard reset, burn like 4 encounters first.
Yeah.
Danny on to Tiamat here. Yeah, Rock Solid saying Ghost Set, Marsh Incentive were a little bit trolly. In general, just like shuffled across zone encounters can be kind of trolly. We saw like, you know, that T-Rex near Crescent Lake that had 1 billion HP, unfortunately.
Death Touch.
Oh, it had Death Touch?
Uh-huh.
Oh, fun.
That was something that we missed. We're just like, oh, hey, a T-Rex. That could be a good grind later if it's right off a power cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught him right before the worm encounter there, and I was like, "Oh, blue stake, great!" So I was like, "I got 3 nuke casters. This should be fine." Nuke goes out, nuke goes out, nuke goes out. He's still standing. He swung at my fighter. It just says slain. I was like, Caleb, don't find the blue stakes. They're bad."
Push this stake. It's gone bad.
Yeah. To be honest, when there's 4 of us, when there's 4 people on screen, we just thought that it just punched you really hard, which was also totally doable with like the levels you were
absolutely. Yeah.
You know, there's kind of the running joke that Kraken doesn't really need to have death touch when he just one punches anything, and he hits anyways.
I think the scariest thing for me about this seed is probably the lack of ribbons on the night. Even though we only found 1 ribbon, but like I don't know if anybody else found wall, but we didn't find it. So that was of particular concern to me.
Just quickly checking our tracker notes. Wall was level 8 in Lefane.
Oh yeah, that's a big rip.
Yeah, that's not something I would have ever been able to pick up. And that was one of my concerns going in, because the Thief didn't have terrible blurstings, but I was just like, I don't like those low HP pool characters for an unknown Topher where, maybe the mobs are a little bit gentler, but the fiends may not be. And one nasty rolled nuke could just ruin your day. So it probably would have been the play here with the katanas, but...
Let's turn over to Danny, who is on the big man himself, Chaos, who is basically, I think it's just punch-only Chaos. But going out with locks, going out with tempers, going out with fast, got a few ruses off, but this is looking pretty nice for Danny here, who ran a pretty good comp for this particular magic roll, double red mage, black mage, 3 life casters with the fighter, nuke, temper. But yeah, this Chaos, punch only and base pretty low damage, so this should not be a concern at all for Danny, as she will be finishing up very soon here. And there goes big punch. Chaos goes down. Our second place runners on screen. 4th place overall, the Crescent Lake Party Planners. So shout outs, GG's, get your double G's out in chat. Congratulations to our second place team here. Also want to give a shout out to our other finishers. Team Thunderalot finishing in 2nd place. Those were our summer co-op champions. Finishing in 2nd with a 1 hour, 50 minutes, 55 seconds. You guys better do a lot of trash talking to Sir Link-a-Lot. I've heard so much trash from him.
We got you.
Yeah. Team Fade to Brack, big shout outs to our pseudo Duckling team, although they're not playing with it. Fryteeth and Dead Pulse coming in 3rd place with a 1 hour, 19, 15 seconds. And then, of course, the Crescent Party Plackers. Wow, what was that?
Crescent Party Platters?
Party Planners coming in 4th place overall with a 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 6 seconds. So GG's to all our teams for finishing up. And great inaugural Double Dragon fight here, as we are joined by the Crescent Lake Party Platters. Danny and Spellzap, GG's.
GG's, everybody.
Thank you.
GG,
man.
You guys bopped it. You got first. Look, we had the first overall on stream. That was good.
Yeah, no. They put on quite a show. We were just saying that Caleb, it was kind of in a pretty similar situation as Danny, and Spellzap, you and Ale kind of did similar routes. So you both ended up with a ton of shards, but meanwhile Caleb and Danny both had very few. And then ultimately it just came down to a little bit, getting the shards a bit faster. And Caleb also just went in a little bit lower level, which really didn't punish you too much in this Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah, no, that felt a lot easier than the percentages would have let on, I think. I was over-preparing just because I was just going to go in when Danny goes in, or just like a little bit ahead so I could scout and then understand. But I was definitely way over-prepared, that's for sure.
Yeah, he was done way, way, way early. And I'm just like, I still need half the shards or whatever it was that I needed. And I'm like, well, where were all those again? Because I need to go find them. Because I think what was 32? I still probably needed half of them when he was Topher ready.
Yeah, same.
Ale was in go mode, and Caleb had 16.
Yeah, I think I might have had fewer. I think I had 14, and I looked and I was like, oh boy.
I I did the same thing as soon as spells. I was like, all right, I'm ready for Topher. I opened my menu and went, oh no. Because then I was telling him, it feels like every time we do co-op with Shard, he always ends up in all the places with all the shards. And then I'm backtracking where he went because I didn't find any.
Shout outs to our 5th place finishers, Team D&D, Dwight and DVS, who came in 5th with an official time of 1 hour, 24 minutes and 42 seconds, just, a minute and a half behind the Crescent Lake Party Planners. So why don't we turn things over to Danny and Spellzap if you have any kind of initial thoughts as we, begin to move towards wrapping this all up.
Yeah, it's pretty jetty. We had level 1 nuke, level 1 fade. I was just thinking about going Thief White Mage, but I ended up keeping the black mages alive.
Not that you needed it to go whack down all the fiends with a power staff.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping for a Masa, but I never found one. I was still searching even after I was Topher ready. I was looking for more places. I did find a couple of shards to tell Danny about, but I was really looking for another Masa just to go off the White Mage. And
yeah, Randomized Treasures was not super kind here.
You had a Masa? What?
No, I was looking for one.
Okay. Did you check the princess? Because Ale and I were joking about the princess might have one.
No, but I did check Astos.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I incorrectly thought you were looking for a better weapon for Danny, but evidently you wanted a Masa for your White Mage. But
yeah, I
we were
was
like,
good with
you have to be.
Oracle.
Yeah, he had a katana. That was pretty good.
Yeah. But no, so
Danny kind of
he's just looking for things while he was waiting on me to finish opening boxes, and it's like, that's not a Masa. Open the box, that's not a Masa. It's like, no. But yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. C wasn't too bad. Like everything in it went pretty okay, other than, like I said, choosing the places we split ended up just being, why are you finding all the shards? Because I haven't found any. But yeah, other than that, it was a lot of fun.
I did have one question for you, Spellzap. There was just one point where I noticed you were kind of clearing locations for like bosses and things like that before you got the key. What was the reason behind that? I was just wondering like why you didn't do ordeals and stuff before you like went and killed a bunch of bosses.
I wanted to get my shard count up to get some more XP. Just get my XP multiplier a little bit higher, but yeah, I mean, I guess I could have searched earlier. It just maybe a little bit of rust as far as not running co-op in a while.
Oh, but, I was curious. I know you guys are a smooth, well-oiled machine compared to Dang and Gregley. Shout out to Dang and Gregley in chat. But I was just curious if there was like a moment where you're like, hey, crap, we don't have the key yet. I was getting ready for go mode, but I kind of assumed that when you did it later that you were just like going for shards or something. So I was just curious if that fun moment happened where it's like, hey, I'm ready to, I don't have the key.
No, we knew pretty early on that we needed the key still. I think Danny mentioned it a couple of times, but it was just sort of like, yeah, we'll get to it eventually.
Fair enough.
At one point, it was like, okay, we still don't have the key, and where have we not been yet?
Yeah. Okay, and our final team has finished. The Trash Island Treasure Hunting Unit has finished in 6th place with an official time of 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 59 seconds. And with that, the race is wrapped up. So our inaugural Double Dragon Championship Rumble went off great. Fantastic match all around. And Dr. Funk, do you have any questions for our runners kind of before we start going into final thoughts here?
No, I'm good. If any of our champions have any final thoughts they'd like to share with us.
I mean, this is fun. This Danny and I, as the co-commissioners, I think we're gonna try to keep this fun. It's gonna work if people out there interested in joining. All you gotta do is just tell us you want to race Double Dragon and tell us who your team is, and you can jump in and challenge folks. The rankings are up to date, so We do have an unranked team out there, Teamwork for Dummies. Unfortunately, Gregory Puff and Dangwu couldn't make the Rumble tonight, but they're able to challenge folks and get on the leaderboard. And anybody out there wants to join, it's a lot of fun racing co-op, and I'm glad that we got this off the ground because Team Caleb, we didn't get to make our debut during the co-op tournament, but we got to do it tonight, and we got to show up, so it was fun.
I mean, now you guys get to tell Thunder a lot that if you guys were just in the co-op, they wouldn't have been champions. So
clearly,
that's pretty easy. Yeah. You beat them in one race. You're clearly the vastly superior team for all time.
Team Caleb, the best co-op team there is in the world. Let's go.
Yeah.
We're one race into Double Dragon, and there's already trash talk. I kind of love it.
Nah, I'm not trash talking. I love those guys. They're really good. They're really good competitors, and if it wasn't for Ale, I wouldn't be here. I would have forfeit out.
There was a quick question in chat divided by 0 more happening afterwards. Unfortunately, no more Final Fantasy Randomizer action tonight, but we got plenty on the docket. We got our weekly races every Monday and Thursday on Speed Gaming and Randomania. We got the Duckling Bootcamp here on RPG Limit Break every Sunday, and then we will have the Duckling Derby starting in January, middle of January. The Duckling Derby coming up, where you get to see our newest runners racing against each other for prize claim or for fame and glory to become the next Duckling Supreme. So thanks a lot, Caleb and Ale. If you guys don't have anything else, anything else before we move over to Danny and Spells Out?
Ale, you got anything?
No, I was just gonna say it's it's a lot of fun, and with it being an offshoot of like the Irongol League that we have going on, it's any flags and however you want to do them. Yeah. So when you're wanting to jump in and join and challenge people, it's come up with whatever you want. I mean, it doesn't have to even be both people finishing. It can be the first team to get someone to finish.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be wild nonsense flags. It can be whatever you want. So it can make what you want of it and challenge people and just have fun.
There's counter co-op as an option. If you want to get froggy and include like other games. I know Gouda, the Irongol commission, had done that in the past with folding in FFR and MM2R in it. So I don't know if I would accept a challenge like that, but but anything's possible. The only limits are your imagination.
Awesome. Odd imagination. Danny and Spells Out. Any kind of final thoughts if we wrap things up here?
I mean, I thought it was a real missed opportunity of not using the alt final boss and getting double dragons. But other than that, I really liked the flags and, had a lot of fun.
Yeah. See, now that I hadn't even thought about that, but now that he mentioned that, I'm like, darn it, that would have been kind of cool.
That would have been good.
Yeah. But,
we have to vet the scene just to make sure there's double dragon at the end.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, this was a lot of fun. Like Caleb said, anybody who wants to get involved is more than welcome to. If you want more information on it, join the Discord. Feel free to ping either one of us if you have questions. Thanks to you guys who all did crew tonight, Dark Minute Restream, Dr. Funkin' and Jet on comms. I know Rubes and Reese were tracking. RPG Limit Break for having us. Shout out to the very talented Mr. Ken Brightblade who did my new sprites that make me a very, very happy Danny. And for Spells Up, hopping in and racing with us tonight because he's been taking a bit of a break, but it's always fun. I love co-op. Everybody knows I love co-op, so I had a blast tonight. Yeah. Other than that, Jet, you mentioned all the stuff coming up, so join the Discord. It's good stuff. And yeah, thanks everybody who has helped and watched and all that good stuff.
Well, thank you so much. And I've said pretty much all I've had to say. I've done lots of talking. Dr. Funkin', as you start us off, why don't you take us out of here?
Absolutely. So thank you all for joining us tonight on RPG Limit Break. Please follow RPG Limit Break for other great content like this. If you watch this monstrosity and said, wow, that looks like fun, I'd like to try this, go to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com, roll yourself up a seed, and start running. If you're running and going like, oh God, I'm not sure how any of this works, what's the best thing to do here? Come join us on the Final Fantasy Randomizer Discord, and we'll be happy to help you out. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.